He successfully defended his one championship title, his welterweight title in Shanghai. And now, like I said, he is back. But what an interesting time this is for Ben Askren. Let's welcome him in and say hello to him via the magic of Skype. There he is, Funky himself, Ben Askren. Ben, how are you?
I'm doing good, Ariel. Just actually, I was up early this morning, like 3:30, because of the time change, and I just took a nap. But I set my alarm, and I woke up in time for this.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate you doing that. Are you struggling? How are you feeling? You're back from China. That's a big difference, right?
Yeah. It's a 13-hour difference. Man, when you take those naps in the middle of the day, it feels like you just keep sleeping and sleeping. So I had to wake up, get a shower to make sure I was waking, ready to give you my best performance.
So in a way, we're kind of doing you a favor here by waking you up and getting you back on track and not going to sleep too early. By the way, your house looks great behind you. Wow, what a beautiful home that you have.
Oh, yeah, my wife, it was a dump. My wife did a full rehab of this house, taking down walls and new electric, everything.
Wow. Congratulations. That's great. Well, congratulations also on the victory, 17-0. But, it's kind of a weird thing because it's almost like we've become, in a weird way, like desensitized to Ben Askren fights. Like we just sort of expect dominance at this point, and you continue to deliver. Yeah. Is there like of course you're going in there, you're fighting in a cage and things like that, but like, do you feel fulfilled by these performances? Like, do you feel like, okay, I'm getting it out of my system like I would any other kind of athletic endeavor?
Yeah. Well, 100%, Ariel, because the thing about it is every single time you compete, no matter what, I don't care what it is, right? You want to perform the best you can, and I feel like I'm doing that. I mean, I haven't got hit in my last two fights, Ariel. I've executed my game plan to damn near perfection. And so, yeah, I'm very satisfied with my performances.
Okay, so when you hear people complain afterwards, does that bother you? Like, say, like, these are too easy. Like, we want some drama. We want some tension. We want to see you in trouble. Like, do you find it weird that people want to see that as opposed to just enjoy your dominance?
No, that's a natural human emotion. We all get sick of it when people win too much, and that's like I would relate it to me when Penn State ran away with the NCAA team tournament this year in wrestling. That's a sport I love. It would have been more entertaining if it was down to the last match, the team race, right? For me as a fan, that would have been better. I would have enjoyed that more. And so when they put 5 in the finals and they're up by 40 points or whatever, it's kind of like not much to get excited about. So I understand as a fan, you want something competitive, you want something back and forth, you want something down to the wire. But as an athlete, you can only hope for dominance and you can train for dominance, and that's what you want.
So I'm kind of bearing the lead here because yesterday, you're still flying back home. You're enjoying the glow of this victory. Yeah. But the CEO of one, Chatri Sityodtong, comes out on his Facebook page and says that you're going to return to action in November against Shinya Aoki. And, oh, by the way, this is going to be your retirement fight. Is that true? Are you, in fact, retiring after this fight in November?
That is true. There is one caveat, and obviously he made a Facebook post, and so didn't want to explain. Like the one and only one way I would ever come back for another fight is if it was for the number one spot in the world. Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, none of those spots against the number one guy in the world. And then obviously the second part of that would be his name's not Tyron Woodley, because I have no interest in fighting Tyron. Very good friend of mine. So if for some reason the number one person's name was not Tyron Woodley, and I got offered a fight against number one, I would come back to prove I was number one. But other than that, I'm retired. I don't need to come back and prove I'm 2 or 3 or 4, anywhere in there. I'll be done.
You're 33, correct?
Yes, 33.
Why now? Why are you done now? You're doing so well. You're not getting hit.
Yeah. Well, really 2 reasons. And so when I was growing up, I read athletes' biographies religiously. I mean, every sport, golf, tennis, baseball, football, basketball, boxing, you name it. But, probably combat sports more than anything, but pretty much across the board, I read them. And so there's 2 reasons. And the first reason is because nobody retires in time. I mean, if you think about who retires during their prime, the number of athletes that do that in any sport is very small. And obviously a sport like golf, we see Tiger Woods fall off. Well, there's not really too much damage he can take from that, right? Although when you watch him and he sucks and you're like, God, he used to be so good, but you suck now. It's kind of it's disconcerting as a fan, right? But then you look at someone like Muhammad Ali, who was literally my favorite athlete of all time. The punishment he took from sticking around too long past his prime, man, I would have to say we can't prove. I have to say we could guess it led to a lot of the problems he had later in his life. So we're in a combat sport. It is dangerous. And, I am definitely not physically at the peak I was, say, 4 to 5 years ago. And, it's a slippery slope because can I still compete with the best in the world? Yeah, of course I can. But you start getting a little worse and a little worse and a little worse. And so when is that cutoff? And so, for me, I set something for myself. I said, this is going to be it for me. And I said it a while back, and I'm going to stick by it because I need to be disciplined in that manner. And I think, a lot of athletes don't do that for themselves. And then the number 2 reason will be if you're competing right, if you're doing it right, competition should be a very selfish pursuit. And, when I was younger, again, reading these athletes' biographies, I always said I would be done by the time I was 30 because I wanted to be able to give back. I thought I would be coaching, and I am. And I thought I would be a parent, and I am. And, there's a lot of things that I have to do. For example, I didn't coach anyone for about the last 6 weeks before my fight at AWA because this is my time. I need to get ready. And, there's things I miss out in my kids' life because this is my time. I have to get ready. So I guess for those are the 2 main reasons that I kind of set an expiration date for myself.
So the plan was always around 33 in your mind? Like when did you decide, okay, November 2017, I'm done? Yeah,
so the plan when I was younger, it was 30. I always said 30.
Yeah.
That was the number I picked. Just that's a good number. Honestly, MMA people have kind of got confused about how long people should last because so many people are using PEDs, and obviously that extends our male athletes' peaks past. A male athlete's peak, I believe, should be somewhere between 26 and 30. If we use those PEDs, we can extend it significantly. And that was what MMA fans got used to. But being a guy who does not use any of that stuff, like I said, I'm not the same guy I was at 28 physically. Now, technically, I've gotten better because, I haven't been doing this MMA thing that long. But physically, I have definitely gotten worse and past my peak. And so when I re-signed my contract with One Championship 2 years ago, I told them straight up, I'm done. At the end of 2017, I'm done. I kind of initially, like I said, I thought it was going to be 30, 33. That's it.
And this is an interesting one because in one, the complaints from the fans have been like, we want to see you fight big names and things like that. Shinya Aoki is a big name, typically doesn't fight at 170. Yeah. How did this come about?
They offered it to me. In the post-fight press conference, I said there's no clear one that makes sense at 170. I was really, 2 fights ago, I thought it was going to be really, really nice setup for me because Luis Santos would win. That was the one guy I've had the no contest against. He's an idiot. But I thought he would win in May. I would fight him. And then Vitaly Bigdash, who was the champ at the weight above me, wanted to fight me. I would go fight him. I'd win those 2 fights. I'd be done, right? And both these dummies lost. So then it was kind of like, well, I'll fight the guy that beat Santos. That makes sense, right? But then after that, it's like, well, who do I fight? Because now the guy who's the champ at the weight above me, An Lang Song, him and Bigdash are 1-1. I believe they're going to do a rubber match. I'm not sure on that. But that was what would make sense. So I didn't really have a dance partner. So after my fight, I said, I don't really care. I'll fight anyone. Up a weight, down a weight, doesn't matter to me. And they called me the next day and said, how about Aoki? And and to your point, he is a big name. He has achieved a lot in this sport. He's been fighting forever. He seems like he's old, but he's only 1 year older than me. He's only 34. I'm 33. Even though he's been fighting for, I want to say 13 years or 14 years. And, I remember watching him when I was still wrestling in college, winning big fights. So they offered it to me. I said, yeah, of course. And that was it.
And why didn't you retire? Like, if you're so kind of, ready to move on, Why wasn't this past fight your last fight?
Like I said, I said when I re-signed 2 years ago, I said end of 2017.
Okay.
And
so you got one more in.
That was what I stuck to. So, I was hoping to be busy this year because I hadn't been as busy recently, and they gave me 3 fights, and that was it. End of 2017, I'm done, and I'm done.
And you're going to be done. This is not one of those retirements where you come back at 36, George St. Pierre, I'm ready to come back. I missed it.
Yeah.
You think you'll never fight again? Unless you get, let's say you don't get that opportunity. Like if it's not that big number one fight, you really think you'll never come back?
I don't think I'll ever come back. I've been pretty disciplined at what, when I say something, I generally stick to it no matter what it is in life. I would like to compete in some form. Just because I enjoy competing, number one. But number two, to stay in shape, maybe, a couple grappling competitions a year, maybe a couple wrestling matches here. There's something like that because I know I'll miss competing, but something where I'm not trying to necessarily feel like I have to be the best in the world at it, right? Something where I don't have to be totally selfish, where I can just say, oh, hey, I want to go wrestle. One of the things, I want to wrestle in Midlands. I don't know if it's going to work out this year now because Midlands is a really big wrestling tournament that's open to college and above. Because I'm having this fight November 24th and I'm having a kid December 10th. But that's a tournament I would like to do. And again, I wouldn't prepare as seriously for it. I would just, work out a couple times a week and go do it for fun.
Right. Well, by the way, which number child is this going to be for you? Number 2?
Number 3.
Wow. Man, you guys are pumping them out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this will probably be it. We may adopt after this, but this will be the kids are our own kids. But yeah, it's fun, man. Being a dad's a blast.
Yeah, it is. And your 2 oldest kids, how old are they? Your current kids, I should say?
I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old girl.
Oh, okay. So we're kind of on the same wavelength. I have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 10-month-old.
Yep.
So there you go.
Oh, see? Yeah, almost exactly.
We have a lot more in common than you think, Ben Askren.
Of course we do.
And so when you look back on it all, any regrets? Are you content with your career?
Yeah, I'm perfectly content. And obviously some people try to, I've never even told the full story of my MMA career. And at some point I will tell the full story.
Not today? Not today? Why not today?
Not today.
Come on.
I will tell it at some point. I'm not sure when. Oh. But listen, I told someone this the other day, Ariel, and this is something I can be totally proud of. I hope I don't F this up while I'm telling it live. I've never turned down a fight. I've never pulled out of a fight. I've never missed weight. I have never failed a drug test, and I've never lost. And I don't know that anyone else can say that ever. I've never turned down a fight. I've never pulled out of a fight.
Yeah.
Never missed weight. Never used a PED. Never lost.
Wow. That is quite the. It's not a trifecta because it's 5 things. The quintecta, I don't know what it's called, but that is a major feather in your cap.
So obviously, I didn't get I wasn't granted the opportunity to fight the best guys in the world.
Yeah.
Lima and Kreshkov, they're pretty freaking good, and I still don't think they get their due for how good they really are. I mean, I think people are so resistant if you don't have UFC behind your name to give you the credit you deserve. So I wasn't afforded the opportunity to fight some of the best guys in the world, and that was not something that was on my end by any sense of the imagination. And so, yeah, I am definitely satisfied, and I don't really think there's anything I could have done differently or would have done differently.
I actually feel like Lima and Koreshkov in particular are held in higher regard today than they were. Like that, those wins are aging well for you, that they're looking better over time, that people are now starting to say, wow, these guys are really good. And what did Ben do to those guys? Do you get what I'm saying? Do you feel that way as well?
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit, but then people always try to say, people always say, well, they were younger when you beat them up. Both those guys had way more fights than me when I fought them.
Right.
I mean, I think I was 9-0 when I fought Lima, and I want to say he was like 21-4 or something to that effect. Well, they may have been younger than me. They were more experienced fighting wise than me. They had more time in the cage. But yeah, those guys, I knew they were both really good when I fought them because I trained with everybody. I've trained with damn near every top welterweight in the last 10 years. Minus a few, I've trained with every single one of them in the practice room. And so when I fought those guys, even though I beat them very decisively, I knew exactly how good they were, and I figured, given the opportunity to showcase that, they would. And now both of them have, Kreshkov had the dominant win over Van Henderson, and Lima had a dominant win over Lorenz Larkin. So yeah, those guys, I knew they were good at the time I beat them, and now they're looking better and better. And the only reason they're looking better is because they're getting the opportunity to do so, because certain guys have now signed with Bellator.
Do you ever daydream about, and I know one treated you very well and you had a fine run there, but if Coker would have came on board earlier and I would have stayed in Bellator, how life would be differently for me? Do you ever think about that?
No,
okay.
No, definitely not. I mean, the thing about Bellator was I beat everyone they had. There was no one left to beat, and there still isn't. I've been gone for 3 years now. No. It was 4 years. It was roughly 4 years since I had my last fight in Bellator. And the guys I beat are still the champion. They've only had 2 champions since I left, and they've both been guys I've beat.
But like Rory, that would be a big fight, right?
Rory would be a big fight. I am curious to see how him versus Lima plays out. But they said they were going to do that, but then they haven't actually announced it, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting fight. I think obviously a lot of people would lean towards Rory, but the one thing about Lima is he freaking hits and kicks so hard, and if Rory's gun shy at all from some of those battles he's been in, he might have a tough night against Lima. Now, if Rory comes out and is precise and as active as he has been in some fights, I think he wins. But if he's not, I think Lima wins for sure.
I get why, like, fans and media to a degree, we're very selfish. Like, we just want to sit back and see 2 people go rock'em sock'em in a cage. Brain cells be damned, playing with your grandkids be damned. We just want to see the best fights on that Saturday night and sit back and enjoy it all. And this may piss some people off, but I feel like you put out the blueprint how to really be a prize fighter. Go to the place where you're the best, get paid the most, take the least amount of damage, and then get out scot-free. I mean, isn't that the whole point of this whole thing? Don't get hit, don't get hurt, get paid. Who cares about the competition?
Yeah.
Who cares about the names? If you could get paid the same amount to fight lesser talent, why not take that opportunity? Is that unfair to say?
Yeah, I mean, no, I see where you're getting at, and I agree with you. The thing about it is you're a fighter, and so you should just be willing to step in the cage and fight anyone. Like I said, I've never turned down a fight, right?
Yeah.
Now, I didn't get the opportunity to fight certain guys. That wasn't on me. I promise you that was not on me. And so would I like to? Sure. But, some guys will, and I've talked to a handful of people, and once guys get older, they realize the mistake in this. And I talked to a lot when I was at Bellator in Madison Square Garden. A bunch of the older fighters came up to me and said, wow, you really made a great move with what you did with your career. But younger guys, I've seen them take huge pay cuts just to go fight in the UFC.
Right.
Like pay cut. They're making less. They get offered one thing here and they get offered another thing here. And the number 2 offers significantly less. But just because they have this ego thing that I want to fight in the UFC, they take that lower offer. And that's just as stupid as it gets.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, what does that do for you when you're 50, right? I mean, the point is to make the most amount of money.
Nothing.
Right?
Dana White ain't going to take care of you the second after you can't make him a whole bunch of money. The second you're done making Dana White a whole bunch of money, he'll throw your ass under the bus so quick. I mean, good Lord, how many times have we seen it happen, Ariel? It happens over and over and over. The dude's got no morals.
Somewhere deep down in the corner, there's not a tiny part of you, just as a sportsman who says, it would have been kind of cool just to be in the octagon once, to fight the champion of the UFC, to fight for the UFC belt. You're content, you're happy, you're walking away, you're healthy, you made money. But is there a part of you somewhere you can concede that is saying, that would have been cool?
It would have been cool. The other thing I think that, as we talked about 2 things earlier with my retirement. Number 1, competing is selfish. Number 2, everybody hangs on too long regardless of the sport.
Yeah.
Not everybody. There's been a few who retired on time. Marshawn Lynch just did. Barry Sanders just did. There's been a couple.
Marshawn came back. Marshawn came back. He's back.
Oh, God sake, Marshawn. I don't follow football.
Yeah, he's back.
I know. Oh, Barry Sanders did not
Barry
come
Sanders
back,
did,
so
yes.
Go Barry.
Yeah.
Oh shoot! You made me lose my train of thought.
I'm
when
sorry.
You distracted me. What were we talking? We were talking about.
Small
I know
part
what
of you.
saying. I was saying
Yeah.
philosophically, another thing that happens is, young guys kind of have this chip on their shoulder. I want to prove something, right? I got to prove how tough I am. I got to prove how good I am.
Right.
And man, now as I'm getting older, I think it's almost sad when guys my age and older still have that chip on their shoulder. It's like almost embarrassing. It's like, hey, I've done what I could do. I've accomplished a lot. And now, if this, especially, like with wrestling, if this next generation wants to pass me up, great job. Good for them. Like we just had the 2017 U.S. Freestyle World Team win the world championship for a country. And seeing all those guys have success, kind of passing what I did, man, I was so proud of them. And so, like, I don't feel like I have that chip on my shoulder anymore. And I haven't had it for a while. The chip on my shoulder, I got to prove myself. I got to show people how tough I am. Where I might have had that when I was a younger guy, I almost see that as a detriment if I still have that at 33 to my life.
Interesting. Well done, Ben. Congratulations on the win this past week. Good luck. November 24th in Singapore. Ben Askren versus Shinya Aoki. What a fight. That's awesome. And also Angela Lee against Mei Yamaguchi, number 2. That's a huge fight for one as well. Looking forward to it. Congratulations on the career up until this point. Good luck in the retirement fight. Great to catch up with you, and I appreciate you doing so after the long trip back home, Ben.
Yes, sir. All right. Thanks, Ariel. Have a good day.
Same to you. There he is. Funky Ben Askren, retiring on November 24th. One more fight left. 33 years young. Still undefeated. 17-0 and 1 no contest. Interesting stuff. No one saw it coming, but here we go. He is retiring, as he said, on November 24th, unless he gets that big number 1 fight, if you will, against the UFC welterweight champion. Most would consider that person to be number 1 in the world.